How do you get information from someone who wants to keep it from you?
That's a good question.
Locked inside their brain could be the truth about a crime, or the plan for a terrorist attack, or the password to a bank account, or nuclear codes.
Ooh,
to get information, we often resort to violence.
Break it open.
That often doesn't work, and can cause a person to close off even more. But that's not to say there aren't other ways of getting people to talk, or even of getting their brains to talk for them. In this episode, I'm going to be injected with a truth serum. I'm going to coerce people into giving false confessions, and I'm going to try to hide the truth from a mind-reading machine.
All right, let's get this.
What's the best way to get the truth, or detect a lie? Let's see if anybody can dig out the secrets I've got locked up in my head.
All right, what are the secrets?
It's a classic scene in spy movies. Someone captures someone they want information from, they inject them with truth serum, and the person spills all their secrets. The serum used in almost all of these movies is sodium pentothal, which is an actual drug that inhibits brain activity. It was first used as a painkiller, but was found to work better as an anti-anxiety drug. It dulls your thoughts, making it harder to perform cognitive tasks, including the task of making up a lie. The use of truth serums began in 1915, when Dr. Robert House, a physician in Texas, realized that scopolamine, a drug given to women during childbirth, had the effect of getting them to talk without reservation. Another drug,
is that something that is actually hard to do?
Midazolam, has been used to treat Iraq War burn victims who suffer from PTSD. Midazolam helps reduce their inhibitions, allowing them to talk more freely about their experiences. Midazolam is also one of the drugs used in lethal injections, including several botched executions. I arranged to be injected with midazolam to see if it could make me spill my guts.
Okay. What would you do to get the truth out of somebody? I can imagine each one of us have somebody who would like to get the truth from, and especially at a moment of high conflict or a moment that you feel that you cannot trust the person, and you would wish or hope that you can actually get the truth to ease your mind, to ease the thoughts that you have of the person. Maybe the person might be betraying you, or the person might be lying to you. So what would that cost for you? Let's see if it actually works. If truth serum is not something that we just see in the movies, if it's actually something that is being used or something that is in reality as well.
This is the midazolam, the medicine we are going to use. This is enough to put an elephant.
Wow, it's tiny.
To sleep. So we'll have to make it very, very, very dilute, and then give you very, very small amount of the dilute.
Please, yes.
You will be comfortable and happy. It's euphoric. You will feel very cool.
But I also want to keep some secrets.
That is remain to be determined. Okay, Michael, I will introduce you to Dr. Pavlo.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
How are you
Dr.
doing?
Pavlo.
Good. Dr. Pavlo is a police psychologist and an expert in interrogation.
Have you started the drip yet?
We would like to start with the amount of 1 milligram.
Dr. Pavlo's objective was to get me to admit to certain information. 1, that my sister's name is Melissa, and 2, that my job is hosting Minefield and Vsauce. My objective? Not to admit the truth.
Are you feeling more relaxed in your body?
I'm feeling warm all over. It's amazing how quickly this came into effect.
Let me just ask you a couple of basic questions.
I'd love to.
Okay. Where are you? What town? What
Pasadena.
city?
I mean, this is obvious. I understand they're trying to warm it up, but to get like a baseline of him being honest, or just basically him being dishonest, because he also said he's gonna try to be as much dishonest as he can actually be.
How old are you?
31.
Do you have any siblings?
Oh, so okay, he started up lying.
Yeah.
How old is your sister, Melissa?
That's not her name.
What do you do for a living?
I am a choreographer by trade.
What might be something I'm familiar with that you did?
Have you heard of The Lion King?
Yes.
So keep in mind, from the moment that he started talking with her, he's basically lying to prove the point that whether now, after he's been injected with the truth serum, that even though he's trying his hardest to lie, to see if the truth serum is going to convince him or basically betray him, make him tell the truth.
Broadway.
I have. I think he needs an extra dose.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's dose it up. We came here for the truth, right?
I got him
You
right.
are too sharp.
How much have I had total so far?
2 milligrams.
2 milligrams.
Question for you. How do you feel now?
I feel like in order to feel like this, I would have had to have had 6 drinks.
Tell me about Minefield.
Minefield.
Yeah.
Minefield. They're terrible. They're places that we've got mines still littered throughout the lands, Cambodia, Vietnam.
You know, I think you misinterpreted my question. YouTube show Minefield that you host. Tell me about that.
I
Scientific?
am somewhat familiar with it.
Did he get another dose?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're just gonna get you even more.
I mean, they should just double dose it at this point because he's been really too much aware and too in control of actually what he's saying. We want to see him just basically telling the truth.
relaxed. Tell me your occupation.
I'm a choreographer.
And siblings?
Still
I have a
lies.
sibling in Colorado.
What's your favorite food?
Rotisserie Greek Donner.
Does your sister Melissa like that too?
She'll eat the meat by itself.
Trying to get Michael to admit that he has a sister Melissa was no easy feat. Luckily, he was anesthetized enough and did admit that he had a sister Melissa. You ever think about being an uncle or a father yourself? Do you want children?
I would love to have children, yeah.
This is actually softcore compared to what do they call them? These dealers. Well, I'll
My
find it.
wife and I are trying, but I'm always doing stuff like this, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, honey, do you want to make a little baby? And I'm like, I gotta go get interrogated and pumped full of midazolam.
Are you going to give him any more?
Yeah, because he's not sedated enough.
It's talking too
I
much.
could do another one.
This would probably be the last dose I want to give him.
Yes.
Okay, so
To most
dose.
people, at
this should be the last but the highest dose that he's actually gonna get.
this dose, fall asleep.
Oh, yeah.
How you doing, Michael?
Good.
Feeling a little bit more tired now?
Yeah, and heavy.
Who's the president?
President Trump.
President Trump. Where are we? What city are we in?
Yo, Pasadena.
Which show do you like to do more, Minefield or Vsauce? Which one do you enjoy more? Vsauce?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they can be whatever I want them to be, and there's no executive in control. By the way, my eyes were closed, weren't they?
Uh-huh.
And I didn't realize that you were still a real person asking me questions.
I think had it not have been for the drug, there's no way he would have admitted anything. Before, you were pretending to be a choreographer, weren't you?
No, it's the drugs, but I really am a choreographer.
After a few minutes, he got right back on track. He's very strong-willed and really believes in what he's doing and was able to maintain the charade. Okay, you're done. How do you feel?
Give him another
I feel
dose.
ready to drive.
Ready to
Just
drive.
kidding.
While midazolam lowered my inhibitions and my ability to lie consistently, truth serums raise ethical concerns about one's right against self-incrimination. Furthermore, large-scale studies have shown that truth serums can cause people to reconstruct and fabricate memories. So
That's
Truth
true.
serums are not very...
Because let's not forget, we are still creative. We are still can make up stories. And especially if they don't have let's say for the person who's looking for the truth, if they don't have a basis of what the truth look like, you can tell them, well, he can tell them basically anything and make up stories, and they wouldn't know what is truth or what is a make-up story.
Reliable. But what about the techniques used by the police?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tear you apart if you don't give us some answers. Michael, let me take a shot at this. Look, we're all friends here. If I was in your shoes, I'd probably do the same thing. You're being too easy on this scum. Your fingerprints are all over the crime scene. You make me sick. Michael.
A true friend don't have to say that we are friends. It basically speaks for itself. When somebody tell you, oh, we are friends, or my friend, you are not their friend. Because think about it. When you really have a friend, they don't have to say, oh, I'm your friend. You know, you already know, both of you or more of you basically know you are friends. You don't have to, you know, really keep saying it, to swear to keep saying, that's my friend.
If you get him too scared, he'll shut down. We only want to scare him enough. That's right. And after I do that, he's going to give you relief. And then we'll do that over and over and over again. You're going to be taken on an emotional roller coaster that will deplete the finite cognitive resources you'll need to keep withholding information. All right, I confess. It really does work. You see, at one moment I'm terrified, but then I'm comforted. The constant shifting from one emotion to another fogs my critical thinking until I might confess to a crime I didn't even commit. It's called the fear, then relief response.
Yeah, because at that point, it's very uncomfortable. It makes you, the pressure is very high. And for sure, you know, you just want to be, a lot of the time, this situation makes you put people in a fight or flight situation. And majority of the time, if it's really uncomfortable, you just want to get away. You just want to tell something, a story, you know, to just put an end to all this form of torture.
The good cop, bad cop method of interrogation evolved out of a psychological manipulation procedure called the Reid technique, developed in the 1950s and used broadly by police departments since the 1970s.
Wow, these corns are really washed out. It should be a bit more yellow.
Now, under the Reid technique, interrogators
It's like they are not ready or fully ripe yet to eat.
first assess whether a suspect is withholding the truth. If they think the suspect is lying, interrogators then move to the second stage, in which they seek a confession. Now, critics of the Reid technique say that the first phase isn't reliable enough, and that often someone who is completely innocent makes it to the second stage, where it's assumed they're guilty and police begin seeking a confession. And they often get it. But why would anyone falsely confess? Well, to find out, I decided to learn how to make someone confess to a crime they didn't commit.
Where was the salt?
Dr. Melissa Rusano is an expert in investigative research, including the process of interrogation and confession. Tell me about false confessions and why people make them.
In a nutshell, people confess to crimes that they didn't commit because they come to believe that it's in their best interest to falsely confess, and that's really counterintuitive.
Right, because confessing is the worst thing to do, right? Like, that's what you need to avoid at all costs.
Yes, when you're not in the situation of being convinced that it's actually your best option.
But that's kind of what I want to do today. I want to see how easy it is to get a false confession from someone. How do I do that?
One way is minimization techniques. You've got to get them to believe that their best option out of this situation to make this end is to confess. You can say, look, I really think it's in your best interest to cooperate. There are other techniques as well, like maximization. Right?
Okay.
So they have to believe that if they don't confess, things are going to be worse, that the punishment will likely be more severe, and so their best option in the moment is to confess to you. One other technique is befriending them, where you're lulling the suspect into a false sense of security, to trust you.
Now, what about making a deal?
So police officers are not allowed to make explicit offers of leniency or a deal. So you cannot make any promises.
That's why a lot of people think that they can negotiate with the police and try to get a deal out of them. You need to go to court for that. Only a judge or you know, a judge can actually decide.
But you can say, look, I really think it's in your best interest to cooperate. You don't have to explicitly say something for the message to be communicated.
With all these tools in mind, I was ready to try to get a false confession.
All right.
Our subjects answered our online ad offering $75 to test a new logic exam for an educational institution. They didn't realize that the institution was fake, and the other participants taking the test were actually actors working for us.
Is a pretty standard release form.
Before the test, participants signed a document stating that they would be under breach of contract if they cheated on the test. When you work on the individual questions, it's very important that you work alone. Don't talk about what you're doing, don't share answers. Good luck. See you soon. The subjects didn't know that there were several hidden cameras around, and that we were watching everything unfold from another room. During the testing, the participants and our actors did not share information. At no time did cheating take place. I'm gonna collect these and put them in the database, and I'll be right back to start the next phase. Okay, guys? Thank you.
Thank you.
I wore an earpiece so that Melissa could guide me during the entire process. A few minutes later, it was time to set up a false accusation. So we actually might have a problem. I'll need to speak to each of you separately. So James, could you come with me just outside? I'll take these now. Thank you. And Nicole, you can just wait right here. Awesome, thank you.
You got to give them enough time to plausibly be talking
that I'm
to
talking to
and
Dane.
calling.
Yeah, so basically, this is like a method they use to actually make you have this conscious fight with your own self. And trying to ask yourself basically what's going on is basically to rattle you or to make you feel unease.
The director.
Hi, Nicole. Hello. You and James both had the same wrong answer for the triangle problem. It looks to me like there was information sharing. Like you guys spoke to one another about the answer on that problem.
I didn't try.
Well, we didn't talk at all during the individual prompts. I kept my eyes on my paper because I knew that would probably throw off the results if I looked.
If I just write out here, like, I admit that I shared answers.
I don't remember talking to him at all about like what we were doing individual.
First, I tried to minimize the consequences of confessing.
I really think it's in your best interest.
I really think it's in your best interest to sign this stating that you admit to sharing the information. I honestly believe that that is...
But I did not, look, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. I came here to help.
Oh, this is one of the worst annoying thing ever when people are basically gaslighting you or just telling you you did something that you didn't do.
I understand
And I
what
never
you're
said
saying.
like, hey,
and
there's,
Megan,
please let me finish because I don't appreciate
You
like
see? She's getting annoyed.
over talking and stuff.
I was too aggressive.
Which is
at first.
granted.
I had a lot to learn. Next, I tried to maximize the consequences of not confessing. What we're looking at is possible breach of contract here.
If he comes down here, he's going to be a lot more upset.
If the director has to come down here, he's going to be even more upset and annoyed than he already is.
It did not happen.
Okay.
And I put that on my dad, and I had my dad around my neck, so.
Once it was me against her family, I lost my chance to get a false confession. I had to become the suspect's friend. I also understand you're a nice guy, and like sharing information or helping someone with the problem is the nice thing to do. It's what we normally do.
But I didn't share any information, so I can't sign that document.
But I failed to convince this guy to be my friend. I struck out with all these test subjects.
Okay.
But after my failed attempts, I was ready to put everything I'd learned into my next encounter.
Okay. So I can assume with her, he's going to use a combination of different tactics to actually get her to basically do what he wants.
Is there a strategy I should use?
I think that you should proceed with making sure that you're not overly confrontational and making sure that she sees you as someone who she can trust your advice. And so I would proceed with that kind of approach.
Okay. Going in. Thanks for waiting.
No problem.
So, I think we do
I really wonder if he's actually going to get her.
have a problem. I was looking through your individual questionnaires, and you guys both had the same wrong answer on the triangle problem.
Really?
So it was kind of this weird, like, okay, what's going on? Like, statistically, what are the chances that two people are going to have these very unique answers? So I called the project director to see what to do, because if, this is a sign that information was shared during the individual section, that's a major problem for the study, right?
We didn't look at each other's stuff. That was like, we were like on, like, we didn't ask each other anything. We didn't like, we didn't talk to each other the whole entire time. And so I don't know how we got the same answer, but I'm like 100% sure that that was like the answer that I came up with.
Deja was resolute about her innocence, but I was about to maximize the consequences of cheating should she not cooperate.
And that's a really big deal because through this grant, we need to have the integrity of the data, we need to always obey the rules of the experiment, and it could even be a breach of the contract that you guys signed when you came to do this study.
Okay.
Deja now knew what was at stake. My job was to convince her that I had her best interest at heart.
I have to call the director back, right? And I can either tell him, I don't know what's going on, we can't proceed, like, you need to come down here. I don't know who he's going to involve. The easier...
Shane was involved, though.
All I know is that I can't explain what happened.
Okay.
The easier option is to just document that information was shared. Okay, so if I write out, I admit that I shared the answer to...
Don't sign it then.
Is that crazy to say that we didn't share answers, though? Because I'm like, I don't know what he's saying, or if he said that he looked at my answer, but we didn't.
Deja wasn't quite convinced, so the next tactic was to minimize the impact of confessing.
I don't know exactly how.
You gotta stick to your guns. Basically, if you know for sure you're not in the wrong, they can tell you whatever story they actually want to. You just have to stick to your guns.
Happened. I just know that we've got to figure out the best way forward.
This is so weird.
I don't know.
I mean, at the end of the day, she has a clean conscience, and she don't really. He has to do all of the work to actually try to get her to move into his direction and to sign in this confirmation that she did something that she didn't. So he has nothing to really worry about. He has all the thing to worry about because he's trying to get her to sign something which she didn't do. And
exactly how it happened. It looks like information sharing. If you just tell us that that happened, then what we can do is I can call the director back and say that you guys are cooperating, and I know him. That's the best thing.
Okay. I mean, it's not true, but I'll sign it.
Okay, if you sign in...
Well, you shouldn't do that. If it's not true, then don't do it, like, really. And besides, he's making only promises. He's basically saying what could happen and not what's actually gonna happen.
Date it, I can go and call him back, and I'll try to get you out of here.
Okay. It's very weird, but...
That easy? You can see in her face she's disappointed. She's really not happy about this. Yeah, but
Thank you very much, Deja. I'll be right back.
She's about to cry. So I guess the thing is, she don't want to get in trouble, but and he's trying to bring more trouble into her life, and she's basically trying to get the money and go about living her life normally.
Thanks for your patience.
Wow.
So you did an excellent job of...
No, after this, they need to double up the amount of money they were giving her, because not only that she had to do the test, but she had to go through this emotional torture.
Communicating to her that it was in her best interest, that the best way out of this situation was to confess.
But it feels so bad. I mean, she knows the seriousness. She knows that it's a lie.
I mean, I didn't cheat. I did not cheat. Those were all my answers.
Hi. Okay. This concludes the study. I'm going to give you a debrief now to tell you about what we're studying. So, first of all,
you're not in trouble.
And this is all the reason why she actually signed, because she thought she was gonna be in trouble. And you know, so ever since growing up as a kid, a child, we always don't want to be in trouble or don't want to get in trouble, and we try to avoid trouble as much. Well, basically telling about the things that we did that could get us in trouble. And this is basically something that stick with us throughout our lives. We basically don't want to get into trouble.
The other guy here works for us. This is not a study of logic problems, it's a study of interrogation and false confessions.
What a relief.
Good one.
You falsely confessed today.
I see that.
How do you feel?
I feel mad at myself because I'm usually the one who, like, you know, just sticks to what, you know, is right. I tried to.
That's what I said. She should have basically, he had to do all of the work, and she should just have to stay with what she knows, which is she didn't cheat.
So what happened today?
It was just scary, I guess, because it's an environment I've never been in before, and then just like all the pressure, it was just like, well, I guess I should just sign it and see that I did it.
Despite knowing she was innocent and knowing that she was admitting to breaching a contract, Deja signed a confession that in a true criminal case could be used as evidence in a trial against her. Imagine if there were consequences and this was a real crime.
Wow.
How easy it is to get someone to confess to something without even punching them or waterboarding them.
So basically, while trying to avoid bigger troubles, she actually could get herself into even real trouble if it was an actual interrogation at a police station, or if it was actual interrogation, because she would have been in more trouble, because now she said no, she didn't do it, but at the end of the day she signed it, which makes all the difference.
Just being nice and telling them that it's in their best interest.
Yeah, it's messed up, actually.
Isn't it?
It's really crazy, because there's a lot of people in prison for crimes they didn't do.
Just like this.
The Innocence Project, an organization dedicated to uncovering miscarriages of justice, estimates that 20,000 people are currently falsely imprisoned in the US. The number one cause is faulty eyewitness testimony, and the number two cause? False confession. Current interrogation techniques are unreliable. They can fail to produce truthful information from suspects who are good at lying. And perhaps worse, they can manipulate innocent suspects to confess to crimes they've never committed. But neuroscientists may have discovered a method for extracting the truth that's impervious to good liars and bad interrogators.
Lie detection.
Dr. Peter Rosenfeld and his team at Northwestern University, including PhD candidate Ann Ward, have developed a high-tech method for lie detection.
But you guys brought with you today a P300-based concealed information test. How does that work, and how is it different than a polygraph or traditional verbal-only interrogation techniques?
Well, we're looking at physiological responses of the brain in response to information that's presented. And if the information is meaningful, like the murder weapon that a guilty person used, he will recognize it, and there's a brain signature to it. And so the...
Oh, wow, this is really interesting. So basically, from what I understand so far, the lies, your brain or basically your body will actually tell the truth, and rather than you saying anything.
The machine that we brought with us is basically an EEG machine.
So the way my brain, your brain, all of our brains respond to things that are meaningful that we recognize is different than the way it responds to novel, meaningless things.
Right.
Has this been used in a court? Has it been used by a prosecution?
Not in court. There are some Fifth Amendment issues as far as betraying yourself based on your brainwaves. But you...
This is exactly what I mean, because it's basically your body, you're betraying your own self.
You could use it for witnesses, or you could use it within companies that are already using polygraph methods.
Okay, well, I'm excited to see this in action. I'm gonna step out. You guys are gonna prepare the first test.
Okay.
Excellent. All right, see you soon. Okay, we're ready for the test. Thank you for joining me. Hannah from Vsauce, Rin from Corridor Digital. So one of us today is going to be a thief.
Per Dr. Rosenfeld's instructions, we randomly determined who would be the thief by seeing whoever drew the green chip.
3, 2, 1. Hannah's the thief.
Oh my God, I knew it.
So Hannah, go on in, look at the item.
In this real-world scenario designed by Dr. Rosenfeld, the designated thief actually takes the item, handles it, and gets a good look at it. This activity causes the item to register in their mind, so they can't help but recognize it later. The other subjects are also required to enter the room and sign in to prove that they were there, but they never get a look at the stolen item. And of course, Dr. Rosenfeld and Anne have no idea who the thief is. Then, each of us is tested.
Go ahead and take a seat here, and we'll get you all set up.
This is interesting because it's gonna be unbiased, basically. The two doctors, they don't know who's gonna be the thief, but the thieves, well, the three suspects, one of them is a thief, and all three of them know each other. They know who's who. But now this machine, this lie detector machine, is gonna determine based on their body signal if who is actually the thief. Without, they're gonna actually have a conversation, but this machine you don't have to have a conversation, or basically you can have a conversation. You don't have to say much. They can basically just show you an item and then ask if you did take it. You can say nothing. You can say yes or no. But the main idea is your body is gonna say whether you are lying or you being honest.
I'm just gonna put a couple electrodes behind your ears and a couple on your face, and then the EEG cap on your head. What you're gonna do is you're gonna use these two mice in front of you to respond to the images that you see on the screen. So you'll see an image, a string of numbers, an image, a string of numbers. Anytime you see an image, no matter what it is, you're gonna press this button. All right, you ready?
The images we were shown contained
She stole a watch. But this is just an experiment.
a variety of jewelry items, including the stolen one.
Oh, there it is.
Of course, Ren and I hadn't seen any of them before. Hannah didn't consciously react to any of them, but would her brainwaves reveal the one item she recognized? It was time for the results.
So here we are. Have you reached a conclusion?
Well, based on what we know, and we know that the stolen item was a watch, and so we looked at the brainwaves in response to the watch in comparison to the brainwaves in response to other things, and we have two average brainwaves or event-related potentials in each frame. The black one is...
Remember now, Hannah, the lady is the one who stole the watch, and the guys, the two guys didn't steal anything.
The average brainwave response to the watch. The red trace there is the response to the other stimuli, all averaged together. We look for the peak-to-peak difference, the peak down here versus the highest peak following this peak, and we measure that, and it's rather obvious that the biggest response we found was Hannah's.
Wow.
An interesting thing, Michael, is that you had a special response to the watch in comparison to the other items that would suggest that there's something special about that stimulus, the watch, that is meaningful to you, is it?
I collect watches. I have about 40 or 50 of them. But Hannah might not have that kind of excuse.
I don't have that many watches.
And out of the three of you, she definitely has the biggest response.
So off to jail.
The P300 concealed information test correctly identified which one of us was a thief. But in this next test, I will be the only suspect, and they will know that I've stolen something. But the question will be, what did I steal? Inside this room are 7 boxes, and inside those boxes are 7 different items
that I've never seen. My task is to open only one box at random and steal that item.
All right, we've got a camouflage hat. And that's not all. During this next test, I will be implementing countermeasures to try to outsmart the test. I will think a very strong thought every time something comes up that's irrelevant. Will that enable me?
I think at the end of the day, his body was still gonna be honest. A lot of the time, lying is when we open our mouth and talk. But when it comes to being honest, our bodies are always telling the truth. You just have to, have the right machine, for example.
To create brainwaves powerful and dramatic enough to not be distinguishable from my response to the actual item I'm trying to conceal.
So basically trying to scramble the machine or confuse the machine of the actual truth.
Anne.
Hello, welcome back.
I committed a crime. Wish me luck, because this time there will be punishments, like in the real world, where getting caught in a lie can have consequences.
And my friend, Adam Savage, was happy to advise me on my punishment.
Adam.
Michael.
I am going to be taking an EEG lie detection test.
Yeah, Mythbusters, interesting show.
Okay.
If I lose, there need to be stakes, okay?
Yeah.
Naturally, I thought of Chinese water torture,
Which, as you know from personal experience, is when someone is restrained while water is dripped on their forehead.
and then right after that, I thought, I know just the guy to talk to about this.
Okay.
Because I want it to be actually something that I'm fearing and dreading.
So, yeah, we did an episode on Chinese water torture on Mythbusters. And the creepiest thing that happened after we did this episode was that I got an email from someone from a throwaway account. He said, we found that randomizing when the drops occurred was incredibly effective.
True. Because if the drips are not randomized, or if the drips have a sequence, you prepared for it. But if the drips are randomized, it's basically a surprise. And that's the essence of being tortured, or being forced to tell the truth in this case.
That anything that happens on a regular periodicity can become a type of meditation, and you can then tune it out. If you couldn't predict it, he said, we found we were able to induce a psychotic break within 20 hours.
It sounds like the stakes that I want.
All right.
Thanks.
You're welcome, sir.
So now, under the threat of Chinese water torture, I was extra motivated to beat the lie detector.
All right, that is it.
I was trying to think about all kinds of frightening scenarios. I was trying to tense up, make sure I was really uncomfortable the way I was sitting.
Well, for most tests, that would work. But we will take a look at this data and see
Yes, we
what
will.
it shows.
She sounds pretty confident in her machine.
Wow, okay. I don't think they're going to be able to figure out what item I stole.
I think they would. They will figure it out.
I really kept my mind active. I was going crazy with countermeasures. I was sitting uncomfortably. I was thinking about all kinds of really crazy things. I was thinking about, like, what if I have diarrhea right now? How would that feel? And how do I hold it back? And maybe I do have diarrhea. All these things that were sort of physical in nature as well. I thought a lot about death and dying and being dismembered. And if they can get it right, I would probably blame witchcraft as well as science.
Wallace, I would say that's it. Yeah.
Sometimes when you really look at these machines or technology, it's something that can be close to magic. Well, they call it witchcraft, but magic, because the way that these machines work or these devices work is so beyond explanation, beyond words. It's like it just works, and you're wondering how does it really work? But yeah, let's see if the machine is gonna decipher whether he's telling the truth or not.
Okay.
We're ready to give him our best guess.
Hello.
Hi.
Best.
You guys ready?
Okay, he said best guess.
Yep.
Let me ask you this, first of all.
So, which means there is still a method to actually confuse the machine or to win over the machine.
How confident
It's not 100% accurate.
do you feel?
Pretty confident.
What did I
Really?
take?
Camo hat.
Camo hat.
Camo hat.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Did you see any evidence of countermeasures being used?
Not something I would swear to.
Even while I was doing the test, I thought, you know what? I'm reacting too quickly to the actual item. I should also treat it as though it's irrelevant. I should treat them all the same.
If you are consistently reacting to all of the irrelevance with their specific countermeasure responses that you formed in your mind, they should produce bigger P300s also, but the biggest will still be produced by the camo hat, even if you're countering it also.
And that means I now have to be punished.
See, that's what I said. The machine, you can try to lie, but your body ultimately wanna tell the truth.
Science is improving in its ability to read people's minds, and that raises some difficult ethical dilemmas. We would have nothing to fear from perfect lie detectors if the people using them had perfect morals. So the prospect of a scientifically rigorous method of extracting information, while exciting, is also terrifying. As we continue to probe interrogation methods scientifically, we have to also continue to probe them ethically. You know, Chinese water torture isn't even Chinese. Its earliest description comes from Italy in the 15th century, and the Chinese name was added later to make it sound more mysterious. Oh man, these irregular drops are supposed to drive you slowly insane. You know, I think this is a lot less about getting information and more about punishment. And, as always, thanks for watching.
Yes, and thanks for watching. Like the stream, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.